Hi, my name is Angela. In this video, I'm going to be talking about feeling overwhelmed in residency, in school, in life, mainly focusing on how you say no and when you should say no in residency. So I'm currently a PGY2 resident in an ambulatory care program. I am feeling overwhelmed. I have in the past. I'm going to be talking to myself a lot too in this video and things that I need to learn. I think that's something to discuss for people who are thinking about residency, who haven't felt overwhelmed before, or who have but don't understand you're going to feel a new level of overwhelmed. So just to go into a little bit of my background, I kind of struggle with feeling overwhelmed at a baseline in like my personal life, professional life. It's just something that commonly I experience or that I feel. Residency it heightened the feelings of overwhelm and just whole new level I didn't even know existed. I don't know if there's a certain type of person that struggles with this more than one, or if healthcare professionals do this more, or like pharmacists do this more than a different type of profession. I don't know, but I'll just kind of go back to PGY 1 year when I started residency and kind of what happened then and what I did to cope with my new feelings of being overwhelmed. When I started, I was cautioned to not say yes to everything. I was definitely told that if you say yes to everything, you're going to feel too busy, overwhelmed, you're not going to be able to do as high quality work. Well, I basically ignored that and said yes to everything, partly because I thought I had to. When you're new somewhere or when you start a new position, you kind of feel like you have to prove yourself. And people would always say, it's okay to say no. And I just didn't want to disappoint them or myself. So I never said no, or at least I didn't say no very often. And, with your current roles of things that you already have to do in residency, you're already going to be overwhelmed. And then you add things on, and then it can really, again, feel like too much. So I started to understand that. I started to realize, I think about October, I was like, okay, this is too much. Things have got to change. I've got to change how I do my work, how much work I'm doing, what I'm saying yes to, no to, and started to realize what my true interests were, what things I really, at the end of the day, wanted to spend my time on, and what things were maybe nice, but not really my primary goal. So I think that was easier because I knew some things it was a chore to do certain tasks. It was annoying. I wasn't looking forward to it. I put it off. Those are kind of things that I knew I just had to start saying no to and understand that it's going to kind of maybe disappoint someone or disappoint me or whatever. But I was clear on that decision. For things that were gray, things that I kind of liked, but it really wasn't going towards my maybe PGY2 goals or maybe my future career or whatever, I had to start really thinking critically about those areas. And I think PGY 1 year, I said yes at times to try and please people in the first couple months and succeed. But then when residency interviews came and PPS, it was a no all over the place. At least I tried to be, because that took precedence. And I would definitely recommend to everyone going through early commit might be different, but going through a PGY2 application period and going through mid-year and all that kind of stuff, it's an extra layer, again, that you never thought you would have. So you don't need anything else on top of that. Just focus on interviews is my personal goal. But after interviews settled and I found that I matched, then I started to kind of see, okay, well, what did I cut out? What do I really care about? I started to say yes to things already for PGY 2 year because I was so excited to make sure, I was, again, in a new place, a new institution, a new state, everything like that. It was kind of like getting back to my old mindset of wanting to prove myself. So I will say that I failed in PGY2. I said yes to too much, didn't work. I got excited, all that kind of thing, fell into the same trap and have been feeling very overwhelmed. It probably has to do with just the fact that second year residency is different than first year residency. It does feel different, and I think that'll depend on the program, and you're hearing that from me as like an AmCare resident. But sometimes you just sign up for projects that you think are small, but now that you're a PGY2 resident or you're like almost there, you have more work than you think. Either you're expected to, or you feel like you should, or maybe you're like me and you're not good at delegating to other people, understanding that they are the proper people to do that work so that they can learn, so that they can grow, and then you evaluate that or you step back a little bit. So it's hard for me, and probably for most people, if you've already committed something, shared something, put a deadline, things like that, to just turn back and say, hey, I don't have time, whatever. But I think I'm always ready to do that because I do know what my priorities are. I just sometimes think I like to do it all, and I think a lot of pharmacists and pharmacy residents are overachievers. I would just say is try to spend time, set aside time to lower your stress, and try to make times to dedicate to those projects. I just think that PGY 1 year, I found times where I could just really shut off and watch a TV show or talk to a family member or friend or something like that. And then I would go back to projects, but it was like a kind of a shut off time. So that was what helped me. And then when it was project time, and it helped me to focus and know that that's where my attention needed to be. But if you do need to say no, or if you need to just ask for help, those are all options that you should definitely think about. You should never imagine you're drowning and that no one can help you, swim a little closer to shore, or no one can help you, throw you a lifeline or something, because that exists. And I think it's really hard to ask for help, especially when you are trying to grow and do things on your own, especially in my second year residency, because next year you won't have anybody necessarily helping you like you do in residency. But so just to say where I've been, where I am now, I want to start pulling back. I think this is something that applies to a lot of people in pharmacy school or in a graduate degree, something like that. You just are go, go, go. You're like running this like rat race, as I call it, of just trying to get the career you want, trying to get to where you want. And I think somewhere along the line, we and maybe others, we just kind of let go of the fact that, I don't have free time. I'm always busy. This is my life. This is my norm. I say yes, I sign up, I do things like that. I think that I need to intentionally pull back now, or else I'll start falling into the same trap as I did last year. And I think it's hard when you're a student. That's your life. And then when you're not a student, life is so different. It's hard to just make that transition. So I would encourage people to pay attention to when they're overwhelmed and pay attention to what they really care about. Say yes to that and just give a hard no to the other things, and just see how your life turns out. I think I'm going to start doing that more, and happy to share that in the future to see what happens. But I guess I want to not let being overwhelmed consume me anymore. It's kind of getting exhausting. Of course, there will be times when you're overwhelmed, and I've kind of heard from other mentors that, you just kind of learn to deal with the crazy, to deal with the overwhelming nature of things. I don't have kids. I'm sure that it gets overwhelming at times when there's just a ton of noise, stress, things like that, lots to do. And, parents or families just get used to that. It's just kind of their norm. But I think it's different when you're a student and you kind of create your own version of like chaos or overwhelm, or it's given to you by your program or by your situation. That's all true. So that's all I kind of wanted to say about being overwhelmed. It was probably a ramble. It probably didn't help, but just know that it's a real thing. I kind of talked about burnout in another video. This is kind of a different thing. I'm not burnt out at this point in my training, but I am feeling overwhelmed, like I'm juggling a lot. And I just wanted to talk about what I've kind of gone through to try and understand it, learn from it, and maybe what advice I would give, which is not too much because I still need to improve. So hopefully if this was helpful. If it was, go ahead and like the video. If you have comments or ideas or other things that you want to hear me talk about, go ahead and put them in the comments below. But otherwise, I will see you guys next time.